All right, wonderful. All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. This is an online remote meeting. First course of business is going to be our call to order. We're starting this at 7:32, a minute or two behind schedule. Let's kick it off first off with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Let's start off with a roll call, and just imagining the room as we typically have met in the past. I'm going to start on the end with Mary.
Okay. Mary Low-Preston.
Joshua Dykstra.
Pizza Brass.
John Kerwin.
Dave Sauter.
Pat Cocherella.
Dan Wall.
Jessica Pennell.
Keith Rosenfeld.
I thought I saw Steve. Steve is
Yeah, I didn't hear. Okay. We didn't hear anything back from Jesse about not being here. Being able to
No.
make it? Okay. Since we don't have definitive word if he's going to make it or not, Josh, I'm going to seat Josh for Jesse.
okay.
And from a protocol, if we know Brett's going to be a few minutes late, do we typically seat somebody for that interim, or do we leave it?
I mean, I would say if you're starting, I mean, you have a quorum without,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Okay. Then let's leave the seat open. I know Mary wasn't here last week as well too, so we can we'll go with that. And I know Brett had said he was going to join as quickly as he could, so we'll go with that. So we'll leave we'll seat Josh for Jesse for the time being and leave Brett's seat open.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to hearings. First one is one that is tabled. This is Z20-10 for 43407-411 Roosevelt Drive, the New Haven Rowing Club. Not sure if anybody is on the call expecting the public hearing for today. At our last meeting, we did table this until June 16th at 7:30 p.m. So I just wanted to give a heads up if anybody is joining the call, expecting to be able to address it from a public setting. That has already been tabled until June 16th. So we invite you to join at that time if you'd like to make public comment. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Next on the agenda is a public hearing that was recessed from Tuesday, June 2nd. This is Z20-034, 312 Chestnut Tree Hill Road. The estate of Serge Mahaly Sr. The applicant is Matthew Mahaly, 111 Booth Hill Road, Trumbull, Connecticut. A couple of things that are happening on here. This had been recessed till today. A little bit of background for the commission. We found out recently that the appropriate signage addressing announcing a public meeting had not been posted until very recently. So in that light, we are not going to be able to have the public meeting. We're going to have to continue this until our next meeting, so that way there'll be enough time for that public meeting announcement to be out there. So the one question I want to ask before we were to recess that until June 16th is we have some correspondence from the Wetlands Agency dated from May 21st. And Pat, a question, does that need to be read in now, or since it's part of the record, we can address that on June 16th?
We should address it on June 16th. Would be more
Address it all in one package and when the hearing is officially open. That makes sense. Thank you.
And Dave.
Yes.
This is John Kerwin.
Hi, John.
I think you should just address that this would count as an extension because the original public hearing, I think, started the last meeting. However, they weren't entitled to get the credit for it because the signage wasn't up until after. So we'll get the extension for the 2 weeks on the time period to close the hearing.
And on top of that, I think we also have the extension from the state as well, too.
Pat
So-
Coach here. So the clock actually starts in 2 weeks. It doesn't start tonight.
Yes.
So does that mean are we recessing this or are we tabling this? I want to make sure we're using the right terminology to understand that the clock is starting in 2 weeks.
Why don't we table it to allow him to comply with the signage requirements?
Okay. Table to June 16th to be able to do that. I understand. Okay. Thank you, John. So then I would need entertain a motion to table this until June 16th.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Pat, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Table to June 16th. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, this is Steve McCurry. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Steve, we got you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Next up on the agenda is another public hearing that was recessed also from Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, at 7:30. This is Z20035A, 248 Oxford Road, T&J Realty, 3333 Main Street in Stratford. The applicant is the Boar's Nest Ox-Ax Company, LLC, a special exception for sale of alcoholic beverages. This was again recessed from the last meeting. We were awaiting some additional documentation from Attorney Fisher, which was received and entered into the record. So thank you. We appreciate that. That's something that we will look forward to reviewing as part of our deliberations. And is Attorney Fisher on the call on the applicants?
Yes, Attorney Karen Fisher, 7 Wakely Street, Seymour, Connecticut, on behalf of the Boar's Nest Ox-Ax Company, LLC.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess first off is that I'd like to, was there anything new that needed to be brought to us from your standpoint, and besides the materials that were presented to the commission?
No, it was my understanding that there were 2 open items. One was a question on the location of the outdoor patio area and where that was going to be. So it is in the grass area. I think there was a concern as to whether or not it encompassed any of the parking spaces. So I did submit 2 photos to show that area. And again, the plan is for that to be fully fenced in with 2 emergency exits that only open from the inside. And there would be seating out there. The second item, sorry.
Oh, no, I said thank you.
Okay. The second item I think that you all wanted addressed was for me to go back to Sergeant Borowski for input from the emergency personnel as to what protocols or requirements they thought would need to be in place. So I did reach out to him. My entire email chain of communication with him, I turned over and is part of your package. He had basically wanted me to update our employee handbook to talk about over-serving, cutting off, and how we were going to deal with people who had been cut off. So we did include that. If you look at pages 24 and 25 of the updated employee handbook, I think Jessica included 2 of them, our prior employee handbook and then the updated version that has more information to address what Sergeant Borowski was looking for in there. And I also did include, because I figured the question would come up, a revised application with the member rules for the axe throwing, that we would then update that if this was approved by the commission to include that no outside alcohol can be brought in, and updated all the rules and regulations in the membership agreement to state that. So I think I covered the 2 outstanding questions from the last hearing.
Thank you. So my first question then to the commission. We have these materials and very happy to look through and deliberate. I know we got them a little bit late in terms of the package, so we haven't read in a ton of depth of detail yet, but I appreciate the reference specifically where to look. But are there any additional questions that, while we have the attorney and the applicants available that we didn't cover last week or want to go into a little bit more detail, did any of the commission members want to ask some additional questions?
Pat Coacharella here, Mr. Chairman. The fence that encloses the outside area, what's the proposed height for that?
6 feet.
Okay, thank you. And the access out there, from that fence to the outside, the access is gonna be exit only? As
It
an-
is.
as an
So,
emergency-
yes, they're for emergency purposes. So there'll be two 6-foot gates, one on each side, basically the front and the back, that can only be opened from the inside to get out and have no latches or anything to get from the outside in.
Okay. And that'll be marked exit only, I assume.
Emergency exit only. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other members of the commission have some questions that we didn't talk about last week? Attorney Fisher, if I could ask just one additional clarifying question.
Absolutely.
Those exit doors that's going to be exit only, are they going to be similar to like you would see in other establishments where they would be alarmed? So if somebody did try and open them up to allow egress, from the inside, that there would be an alarm that would go off?
Yes, they can wire them to be alarmed. They hadn't gone through that process yet, but that is definitely something that is doable.
Okay, thank you.
Pat Cucciarella here. I would suggest that when we write up the conditions of approval, if we're going to approve this, that we add these conditions as part of the approval.
Okay.
Dave, I just had a couple of quick questions
Go ahead, John.
that I just wanted to go over. Hi, Attorney Fisher. How you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Just with regard to the membership for this private club, and I know we had gotten into this a little bit, and I did think I had some additional questions. Has anybody ever been denied a membership to the club?
There hasn't been a reason to deny anyone. If you pay your membership fee, then you become a member. The rules indicate that they can terminate a membership or suspend a membership or remove someone from the premises for a night or 2 nights at their discretion in the event they're found that they're violating rules. But they were, as you were aware, they were only open for 3 weekends before COVID hit. So, and they were incident free.
It's all in the timing.
Yeah.
So there's no vetting process with regard to the membership. It's basically you pay the $10 fee and sign the agreement that you agree to comply with the membership rules.
Yes, as we had indicated to the commission in our application for that business. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, John. Does anybody else on the commission have any questions for the attorney or the applicants? Hearing none, addressing to the public, does the public have any additional comments they'd like to bring forward regarding this application? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any further comments regarding this application? Okay, hearing none. Again, one more time with the commission. Any further questions that you would like to bring up?
I move that to close this public hearing.
I'll second. John Kerwin.
We have a motion to close the public hearing with a second from John. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously to close the public hearing. All right. So at this time, with the meeting now closed, I think we have enough materials here, and there's some conversations, attorney, that we do want to go ahead and be able to to deliberate appropriately, for this. I'll just pull out a note here real quick. And also as part of the closing statement is, the commission has 65 days from the close of the public hearing in which to render a decision on the application. The time limit during public hearings may be extended, providing the total extensions do not exceed 65 days. Once the public hearing is closed, no further and new information will be accepted. The commission's final decision on the application will occur at a regular scheduled meeting up to 65 days from the close of the public hearing. So I want to thank you for, the comprehensive details that you did provide us, regarding this. It'll give us some good information to go through and deliberate this and circle back. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the commission's time. And just as a question, will this then appear on your next meeting?
Yes, it will appear on our next agenda as part of old business on which a public meeting was held.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you. You as well.
Good night, Attorney Fisher. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, let's see, we have new public hearings. And the public hearing that we have scheduled for today is Z20-033. Z20-033, Lot 1R, Pheasant Run Road. The owner and applicant is 589 Investments, LLC, P.O. Box 506, Oxford, Connecticut. This is for excavation of 13,320 cubic yards of material. Is our applicant here? I think I saw say one.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Everybody can hear you, but before you go, I have to do my the intent of a public hearing. So, because it's the new public hearing, I just have to lay this out. So, just give me a second to go through this.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. So, the intent of a public hearing and procedures to have the applicant and his or her authorized representatives present to the commission and to the public all information that is either necessary or pertinent to the application. It's also to hear questions from commission members and or staff relevant to the application for the applicant's response. Intent to hear questions and or input from the public relevant to the aspects of this application only, including comments in favor of or opposed to the application, general comments or questions which are fielded by the chairman to the applicant for response as appropriate. Those people wishing to speak are requested to sign in with the commission on the sign-in sheet, which in a virtual meeting is going to be raising your hand and unmuting, for the secretary. Those who wish to speak so may do so upon recognition of the chairman, upon stating their name, address, and interest in the application. All speakers will be allowed a reasonable opportunity to be heard. Speakers may not speak again until all the others have had the opportunity to speak. I'm going to call for conflicts of interest from the commission members and ask the applicant or applicants if they have any reason to believe that any of the commission members have a conflict of interest. Our secretary will read in any additional correspondence. The applicant, as part of this process, submits a public hearing notification. A certified return receipt request notice of the hearing is sent to people who own or occupy property within 250 feet radius to the land that is the subject of the hearing, explaining who you are, what the said application is requesting, where the location of this proposal is, when, where, and why the public hearing is scheduled. The applicant submits the return receipt cards, a copy of the notification letter, and a list of the property owners and those who occupy property, all within 250 feet radius, and that is submitted to the commissioners at the time of the initial public hearing. The applicant will provide proof with a picture of the date that a notice of a hearing sign was posted on the subject property at least 10 days prior to the date of the hearing, detailing the following information: notice of hearing, Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission, the date of the hearing, the time of the hearing, the place of the hearing, and the statement. For more information, please contact or visit Oxford Town Hall with our phone number and oxfordct.gov. The applicant or their applicant's representatives are going to make a presentation to the commission, and the commission is going to, and staff members will ask questions. The public, there'll be a public participation in general comments and or questions, and the public may speak in opposition or in favor of. We'll seek additional comments or questions by the commission and their staff, following which we'll solicit a motion to either recess or close the public hearing. So thank you for letting me go through that. Pat, the first question for you is if you could go ahead and read the legal notice for for the application.
Mr. Chairman, I'm having a hard time locating the legal notice in my paperwork here. I
can go ahead. I have it pulled up. I'll take care of it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Town of Oxford, legal notice, public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Oxford, Connecticut will hold a public hearing remotely during its regular town meeting, regular meeting on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. Members of the public that would like to join us online can access the meeting using the following information. Option 1 is join us using Google Meet with the meeting ID that's specified. Or option number 2, join us by phone with a specific phone number and PIN number that has been provided. This public hearing is regarding Z20-033 Lot 1R, Pheasant Run Road. Owner and applicant 589 Investments, LLC, PO Box 506, Oxford, Connecticut, regarding excavation of 13,320 cubic yards of material. At the meeting, interested persons may be heard, and written correspondence can also be submitted prior to the meeting by email. Please send your submission to pnz@oxfordct.gov. A copy of the proposal can be accessed by visiting the town website also at oxford-ct.gov. Dated at Oxford, Connecticut, this 13th day of May 2020. Jessica Pennell, Planning and Zoning Commission. So next thing I want to go around to the commission itself. I'm going to ask if there's any conflicts of interest from the commission members, and I'm going to do that by a roll call. Dan Wall, do you have any conflicts?
No.
Josh, do you have any conflicts?
No conflicts.
John, any conflicts?
No conflicts.
Pete? Pete, are you still on the call? Pete Zebras?
Who are you looking for?
Pete Zebras.
Pete, you there?
Yeah, could you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Were there any conflicts, Pete? There you are.
No, there's no conflict.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Pat?
No conflict.
And myself, no conflicts. Brett, did you happen to join the call? He is not. So for the commission members that are present, there are no conflicts. Siwan, do you have any reason to believe that any of the commission members have any conflicts of interest?
No conflicts.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Pat, aside from what we've already seen, is there any additional new correspondence that's been submitted that we need to read into this? I don't believe there is, but I wanted to just double check.
I do not believe so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that being said, Siwan, now we can turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. For the record, C1 Sal. I'm a project manager from Civil 1, 43 Sherman Hill Road in Woodbury, Connecticut. I'm here representing 589 Investments for the application for earthwork activities on Lot 1R, Pheasant Run Business Park, in order to prepare the site for future development. The existing site is approximately 10 feet lower than the road elevation. So in order to bring the site to a proper subgrade elevation, and import of a little over 13,000 cubic yard of material to the parcel will be required. And this is also consistent with the conceptual site plan that was approved by Planning and Zoning in 2017 as part of the subdivision application. All material will be generated from Lot 10, Woodville Industrial Park, just south of the power plant, Toronto Energy Center. A transportation route map has been prepared for your review. And also all the trips will be taken within the industrial district, and truck traffic will be restricted to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Between Monday and Friday. There will be truck trips per hour during weekdays, and we anticipate the filling operation to complete within 2 months. The application was approved by Wetland Commission on April 14th, and the permitting set has also been reviewed by our town engineer, and we revised the permitting site set based on his recommendations on April 30th, and we received a clean letter from him on May 1st. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have.
All right, we'll turn this over to the commission now for any commission members that have questions.
This is John Kerwin.
Go ahead, John.
Can you just repeat the last couple that you started breaking up? did you indicate something about getting a correspondence from the town engineer? And can you amplify on that? Or
Yes. We have received a a review letter from the town engineer in mid-April, and we responded his comments and have received a clean letter from him on May 1st.
And if I can just ask this through the chairman of Ms. Pennell, is that included in the packet? I remember seeing something from Jim Galligan, but I don't remember any specific comments.
As you were speaking, I was actually looking through the packet as well for it, and I'm not seeing anything there. Jess, do you know if that's something that was part of the materials that we received? I know we had some technical difficulties today.
She's on mute. Jess, you're on mute.
Don't you like it better that way when I'm on mute?
Don't go there.
All right. I know I have a huge email chain with C1. Let's see.
I do not believe the correspondence is in the packet, but I
Yeah.
sent it to you by email.
I have it right here. I have the last letter from Jim up here on my screen. I can read that one. Or all right. All right, so how do you want me to do this?
I would suggest sharing the screen, but I'm not sure all the commission members have online access. They could see it if you were to share your screen.
Well, these are from my email, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
You need the public to be able to see them as well.
Exactly.
Let's see here. You know, I honestly think that these were already, because you had asked Jim, I believe these letters were read already because C1 gave us a response, and this was on April 30th. And then we got a clean letter on April 23rd. And the final thing was that the applicant had requested a waiver of the public hearing. You guys read all those on the day that we set this public hearing.
Yep, but the public never got.
They did. They did, because when it was originally on the agenda, all those documents were posted for that meeting.
Yeah, but if anybody had come back to the public, like had been notified of the public hearing, they wouldn't have reference to that material. Because that was the hearing that requested the waiver of the public hearing. So as it relates to this public hearing and given notice to the townspeople about this particular application now, I don't know if they had an opportunity to review it.
Okay. Well, we can.
Yeah, short of getting it available now.
It's, let's see, it was what, May 5th?
Jess, while you're looking at that, can I ask Siwan one question just about the application or the?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm just for my own edification. I'm looking at your at the map, and it's indicating that I'm on C1 8.2, which I think is the third page of the maps.
Yep.
And it indicates earthworks. There's it on the right center. A little bit down, it says earthworks cut volume 4,120 cubic yards, and then fill volume 17,440 cubic yards.
That's correct.
But this is an application for how much?
So we are importing 13,000 cubic yard from another lot, and
So the
4,000
cut
will
would
be
be-
balanced on site.
Okay, the cut would be what's there. And so the 4,000 plus the 13, my math is bad. That's where you get the total amount of fill.
That's correct. And
Okay.
the cut is from the east side, east corner of the lot.
All right, you're taking one of the high spots and pushing it in and adding it with the additional fill.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
No problem.
Jess, any luck finding anything?
I have two letters here. All right, so I have, that one's from Civil One. Can I share my screen with you? I mean, I know I can.
Presenter down at the bottom, present now.
Yeah, but now I'm not in the meeting. Okay, maybe this will work. Okay. Let's see what happens. I've never done this before.
You'll do fine.
Nope, that's not it. Hold on, guys. I'm just gonna do my entire screen.
Okay.
Can you see anything?
Still seeing you.
You are? It's not letting me. Let me see. Wait, hold on. My thing goes away here. All right, let's see. This is, let's see if you can see this. Can you guys see this?
There you go.
Yep,
Just
there it
over
is.
now. We got it.
All right.
Yeah.
The only letter I don't have, or that, not that I can't find, maybe C1 can email it to me quick if he has it. From our email chain was the original letter from Jim.
Yep, I'll email you to right now.
Tell me when you want me to stop sharing this thing.
No, you're gonna have to share it anyway once you get
Yeah,
that. So.
okay.
Unless you want to hide your email. Well, while this is happening, did anybody else have any other questions they wanted to bring up from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's Josh Dykstra.
Hey, Josh, go ahead.
Hey, C1, did you say you submitted the route along with the other documents, or did I hear that?
That's correct. That's part of the response letter.
Okay, so that's part of what Jess Pinnell's looking for right now.
All right, I emailed you guys that route at the last meeting. So it's not in this packet.
All right, I'll go take a look. I must have it in my email then. Too.
I know I just saw it here on mine because it's right in here with all these other things he just gave me. And I apologize for this, but it was quite a day. All right.
And this is all new procedure anyway, so.
All right, you guys got that one. All right, so here's this.
Jessica, just email the original letter to you.
All right, so let me do that so we can.
All right, and Jessica, if I can just so the letter that's on the screen for people that are just phoning in is the last correspondence in the chain, and it's from our town engineer, James Galligan, indicating that has no further comments or responses to his original letter. So that's what we call the clean letter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I'll make that note, and then if you want, I can show you the original letter. I can share it instead. You want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
That way it's part of the public hearing.
Can you guys see me still?
Yes, but that's okay. We can see the letter.
Because I'm practically like on top of my computer looking. All right. Sorry, I'll try to back up. Can you see the April 23rd letter?
Yep, we're reading it right now.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Dave, do you want me to read this into the record for those that are,
If you would like, yeah, actually, now that's a good idea since it's not part of the packet. I appreciate that, John. Thank you.
all right. Pat, do you mind seeing as it's actually the job of the secretary or?
You can go ahead if you like, John.
All right. All right. This is addressed, it's dated April 23rd, 2020. It's addressed to Mr. Jeffrey Luff, who was the chairman at the time of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town of Oxford, regarding Lot 1R Pheasant Run Park. Dear Mr. Luff, Nathan Young Engineers is in receipt of plans for the above referenced parcel. The proposal is for placement of over 13,000 cubic yards of fill material to make the parcel open quote, pad ready, close quote, for a proposed industrial building in the industrial zone. Preparation of this lot in this manner is consistent with the industrial subdivision approved by the Town of Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission for this road. We offer the following. 1, please provide a copy of approval for the excavation proposed on Lot 10, Woodruff Hill Road, from which the fill material is proposed as borough. That might be a typo. 2, please provide a plan of the transportation route between Lot 10 Woodruff Hill Road and Lot 1R Pheasant Run. 3, please provide locations of intermittent silt fencing, which represents 20% stages of filling operations of this site. 4, fill material to be placed under structural elements will need to be placed as a, quote, control fill, close quote, and certified to be compacted to 95% maximum dry density compaction rate or better. The applicant is responsible for coordination of this equipment with the Town of Oxford Building Inspector. 5, please provide an approximate time frame for completion of this project, including the number of vehicle trips and load sizes. 6, the commission should consider placement of surety protection against damage to the town roads by this operation. The applicant has requested a waiver of public hearing process. This commission should consider the potential of public interest of abutters of the transportation route when debating this request. And this again is signed James H. Galligan, professional engineer, Nathan Young Engineers, town engineer of Oxford.
Hey, y'all, just Brett's here at 8:10 p.m.
Thank you, Brett.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So this is Jim's second letter.
And we probably should have that one read in as well, too, since we just read in the first one. John, do you want to do the honors again?
I'm on a roll, so. All right, this is, thanks, Matt. This is dated May 1st, 2020. Again, addressed to Mr. Jeffrey Luff, Chairman, Planning and Zoning Commission, Town of Oxford, regarding Lot 1R Pheasant Run Park. Dear Mr. Luff, Nathan Young Engineers Incorporated is in receipt of plans and responses to comments dated April 23rd, 2020 for the above referenced project. All of our comments in our April 23rd, 2020 letter have been addressed. We have no further comment. And then it concludes, if you should have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at his phone number. And again, this is signed by James H. Galligan, professional engineer, Nathan Young Engineers Incorporated, town engineer of Oxford.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys need me to share right now? I can share any other letters that you want me to share.
Just a question in general, and John, I'll direct it to you since you had originally brought this up. Do we need to see
Those are
the
C1's
comments themselves?
responses to Jim, and then that's when Jim gave us the clean letter. Oh, sorry.
It's 2 pages. What I'll do, I can read it just quickly. I'll read we've already heard the comments, so I'll just read his responses.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, and this is again addressed to Mr. Luff, Chairman of Planning and Zoning, at the date of April 30th, 2020. Should say former chairman. Dear Mr. Luff, we have received and reviewed a review letter from James H. Galligan of Nafis and Young Engineers dated April 23rd, 2020 for the above referenced project, and have revised the earth excavation permit set based upon his recommendations. Enclosed, please find the digital copy of the revised plans with the revision date of April 30th, 2020. Additionally, we offer the following responses to each of Mr. Galligan's comments. Response 1, which was, I'll read the comment. Please provide a copy of the approval for the excavation proposed on Lot 10 Woodruff Hill Road, from which the fill material is proposed as borrowed. Enclosed, please find the approvals for the development of Lot 10 Woodruff Hill Industrial Park, a special exception permit Z-08-151 for the removal of 282,000 cubic yards of earth material was approved by the commission on August 21st, 2008. This permit was amended on January 20th, 2016 by eliminating several conditions of the original approval. On July 16th, 2019, another special exception permit Z-19-069 was issued by the commissioner for the development of the property as a contractor's yard. That's the response to comment 1. Comment 2, please provide a plan of transportation route between Lot 10 Woodruff Hill Road and Lot 1R Pheasant Run. Response 2, enclosed, please find the plan showing the transportation route between Lot 10 Woodruff Hill and Lot 1R Pheasant Run. Comment C3, please provide locations of intermittent silt fencing, which represents 20% stages of filling.
Sorry, John.
That's okay. Of filling operations of this site. Since the total disturbance will be less than 3 acres and the proposed activities will be completed in around 2 months, sheet C1.3, sheet C1.3 / intermittent grading plan and erosion control plan has been added to the earth excavation permit set, which represents the 50% stage of the operation. Comment 4. Fill material to be placed under structural elements will need to be placed.
Jeff is texting me. I don't know if I can let someone into the meeting while you're reading this. Can you hear me?
No,
What's up?
no, I'm sorry. He can direct it over to me, Jess.
Anyone?
Jess, he can direct it to me. If you like.
Okay, I couldn't hear you guys.
Jess can text me directly. John, please continue reading.
All right. I think I was on C4, right? Yep. Fill material to be placed under structural elements will need to be placed as control fill and certified to be compacted to 95% dry density compaction rate or better. The applicant is responsible for coordination of this equipment with the Town of Oxford building inspector. Their response is R4, we concur. C5, please provide approximate time frame for completion of this project, including the number of vehicle trips and load sizes. Response 5, there will be 2 truck trips per hour during weekdays, which is 16 to 18 truckloads per day. Each truck will carry 16 to 18 cubic yards of earth material. We anticipate the filling operation to complete within 2 months. C6, comment 6, the commission should consider placement of surety protection against damage to the town roads by this operation. R6, we concur. C7, the applicant has requested a waiver of the public hearing process. The commission should consider the potential public interest of the abutters of the transportation route when debating this request. Again, R7, we concur. Please feel free to contact us if you have any further questions. Sincerely, Civil One. And that is the signature of Civil One. So I think the only thing that we're missing is the route.
Okay, I have that. Let me just, all right. Jeff just keeps on, all right, I let Jeff in. Now, let me get back to the meeting and let me share the route with you. How did I do that? That's not what I want to do. Hold on, guys. I just did it. Oh, here we go. A Chrome tab. All right. You see it?
It's coming up. Give it a second.
Yeah. Jess, can you just move it up a little bit?
Yeah. Some things popped up on my. All right. Whoop. Let me see. I don't know. All right. You want me to? Is that any better?
Just move it up a little bit, and I think that's pretty much perfect. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Got it.
Going around Giuliano Drive.
As I recall from our earlier conversations, this is where we wanted to, give the public a chance to be able to comment on that particular route, because that was the one thing from the responses that caught our attention.
Yeah. And through the chairman, Dave, can I just comment? Did we get anything back about a bond? As comment, I believe it was comment 5. It indicated.
I'm not sure if we got anything back. Jeff would be the one. Did we hear anything back, or Siwan, was anything provided back to us regarding the surety bond?
Regarding this application, no, I don't think so.
No. Mr. Chairman, we discussed at the last meeting, we discussed the road bond for lot 10 Fox Hollow.
Yes.
And this one, we did not discuss putting a bond on it, even though it was in Jim's letter. So you didn't discuss that regarding this because we hadn't had the public hearing yet.
In the public hearing, yes, this would be the time to basically to bring that up. Okay.
Pat Cotrella here. If I remember correctly, just from 5 minutes ago, the applicant responded that they would concur with the bond.
Exactly. And the curious was the status of it. Had that progressed any further? I think it was the question.
And traditionally, that's done between the town engineer and the town attorney, and we would just make it a condition of approval that. And this is more of a question than a comment. Jess, can you fill us in how that works?
Can I come back now? Are you done looking at this?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, if what you would do is, I think, and gosh, we haven't done a bond in a long time. We would talk to Jim Galligan, and he would come up with an amount. And then that would just be, usually you say, I don't know that you actually put it in the motion, how much the bond is going to be, just that there's going to be a bond, and then send it to Jim Galligan to do the estimate and all the things that, the list of things that he would want done, or
the
like
bond,
that. I don't know. Maybe Steve knows a little bit better because he takes the bonds, but that's my thought.
Pat, go ahead.
What we've always done in the past, we've just put that the bond would be set as part of the approval. We never mentioned the number. We said it had to be set by the town engineer and approved by town council.
And then they arm wrestle it out, and it's just hopefully they can
And that's all we have
come to
in our approval.
Yeah, it's just a part of their approval that they agree on the bond and it gets set.
Got it. Good. Okay. Are there any other questions for Siwan from the commission before I ask the public if there's any comments? Okay, hearing none. From a public hearing standpoint, this is the opportunity for the audience, if they have any questions regarding this public hearing and this application, if they want to ask now. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this particular application? Okay. Hearing none, I'll go back to the commission one last time. Does the commission have any additional questions, for Sewan regarding this? Okay. Hearing none, unless there's objections from the commission, does it make sense to entertain a motion to close this public hearing unless somebody else has an additional concern?
I move to close the public hearing.
I'd second that.
You have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? And it carries unanimously. Now, is this something that we would
Mr.
want?
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm having a lot of hard time hearing you guys tonight for some reason. Can you tell me who made that motion and seconded it? I didn't get it at all.
Pat made the motion and John Kerwin seconded
To close, right?
to close the public
Okay.
hearing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, the next question to the commission, is this something that we would want to deliberate now, or do we want to deliberate this and have it on our next agenda to make a decision?
I think we should have it on our next agenda so we can have a proper motion written up.
Yeah, I
Very
agree
good.
with Pat. If it was in person, someone could be writing it up. But I think with this format, it's a little difficult. So if we can get the motion done and then we can deliberate and vote on it next meeting, I think is probably the best way to do it.
Thank you for the input. I appreciate it. Then the official closing statement regarding the hearing, the commission has 65 days from the close of the public hearing in which to render a decision on the application. Time limit during the public hearing may be extended, provided the total extensions do not exceed 65 days. Once the public hearing is closed, no further and/or new information will be accepted. The commission's final decision on the application will occur at a regular scheduled meeting up to 65 days from the close of the public hearing. And Sewan, this will be on our next agenda on June 16th to deliberate.
Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time tonight. Have a great. I'll hang around. So, okay. Moving on with the agenda. Future public hearings. We have none to be scheduled. So we'll move into our regular meeting business. Pat, were there any other amendments that needed to be made to the agenda, or Jess? I didn't see anything come up.
No, I had nothing.
Okay. Audience of citizens, to those that are in attendance, does the public have anything they'd like to address regarding items that are not listed on the agenda? Does the public have any items that they would like to address that are not listed on the agenda? Ask one last time, just because we're in a virtual setting, to be sure. Does the audience of citizens, is there anybody from the public that would like to address anything that is not listed on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. Pat, Jess, any additional correspondence that needs to get read in?
None that I know of.
Mm-mm.
Very good, thank you. Old business, matters on which a public hearing was held. Z20-031, 10 Fox Hollow Road, also known as Lot 5 Fox Hollow Road, owner York Machinery South, 160 Warren Ave, Westbrook, Maine. The applicant is Chadwick Barros Incorporated, 10 Fox Hollow Road. This was a special exception for a public hearing waiver and a change of use. We had the public hearing last week and it was closed. And to kind of give a little bit of background as we kind of talk about this a little bit more, I just wanted to fill in the commission members in terms of additional information. Question came up because one of the questions that was raised and discussed was the possibility of a road damage bond, for that particular road. And we ended up going and getting talking to town council about input with that. And I had a conversation with Kevin Condon late this afternoon, and he offered to put something in writing for us for our next meeting, addressing his thoughts, but he also kind of outlined his thoughts to me that would be contained in such a writing. So I wanted to throw this out for our consideration and discussion now, and we can decide if we want to get this in writing or if we want to deliberate based upon what he informed me. Regarding the topic of a road surety bond, he's very clear that it's not illegal to ask for that, and it doesn't really violate any statutory roles to be able to include that. However, it was his opinion that it really is not it's not something that's proper, and the reason being is because it's not something that it's an industrial zone, and it's not something that we're assessing on others. There's been heavy equipment running over that road, he felt, over a number of years, and how do we know that any specific road damage that might kind of happen can be pinpointed back to one company versus another with the truck traffic and everything that was going to be on there? And his position was that it wasn't something that we should pursue, especially if we haven't put in place those conditions on others as well too. So he asked me to make the commission aware of that in terms of what his thoughts would be if he were to put this in writing. But I wanted to throw that all out there in terms of the discussion topics. And I know there were two other things that we had talked about in regards to, removing any reference, removing this the use as a contractor's yard, and also, including as a condition of approval that there would be absolutely zero rock crushing whatsoever happening on that particular site. I think those are very appropriate conditions of approval. So with that being said, I just wanted to make sure everybody was filled in on the background that I had, and wanted to now just open it up for the commission to kind of talk about it, a little bit more.
Yeah, Dave, I'd like to see it in writing. What makes this application different than the one that we just did, where we put a surety on for road damage? And that route's even further, so there's other traffic that will be involved in that route. So how does this situation differ from the last situation where we had the town engineer actually suggesting that we do a road bond, and the contractor agreeing? Obviously, this would just be for the one Fox, I think it's Fox Hollow Road.
10 Fox Hollow Road, yeah.
Yeah, so it would just be Fox Hollow Road, but I don't understand the distinction that we're making, or that Attorney Condon's making. We just less than 5 minutes ago talked about putting a bond on for road damage for a similar situation where we have large trucks that have a significant weight and they're driving on a particular route. The town engineer goes out, he surveys the road, he looks at the damage that's existing, then they go back, and that's one of the parts and parcel of litigating a bond, is to determine causation, and if you can show causation, then the bond would be responsible. I don't see the difference in from that case to this case. We have very large excavators, large machinery that would be traveling, and you saw the time frame from the application. Sounds like there would be a lot of business going up and down that road. I think it's more than appropriate for a road damage bond. So I think Attorney Condon should probably put that point in writing if he wants to rely on it, because it seems to be completely contrary to what we just did in the last application.
Mr. Chairman, Pat
I was just about to respond, but go ahead, Pat, go ahead.
I disagree somewhat with John. These are very dissimilar applications. The one is a temporary with 2 vehicles per day, back and forth, or per hour, per hour. Where this is effectively, from what I've been reading, is a vehicle dealership. It's not a contractor's yard. He's vacating the contractor's yard approval for that property. That's one of the things we asked him for. It's strictly a dealership. And so the number of trips per day and the like is much, much lower than it would be with the other application. And I might be reading it wrong, but that's the way I understand it.
I think that's a good point, Pat, but it's not just a dealership. And I recall that this from his comments. There's also leasing, so they're going to be bringing, sending trucks out, large, tow trucks or flatbeds with large excavators. And I've driven by there. I've ridden by on Larkin Trail, and you can see the size of some of the excavators. They're fairly large. So he's not just selling them; he's also renting them. So they're being brought to a yard, being brought back.
Yeah.
It might be the type of thing that obviously we can't have it on forever, but maybe for a year to see how the damage goes. If there's no damage, then there's no harm, no foul. But it might. My suggestion that the town, if there is a problem, that the town doesn't take it on the chin, that we provide some kind of way to make sure that this isn't going to be something that comes back and bites us. Maybe have it limited for a year to see if there's any damage, and after the year, if there's no problems, then we release the bond. You can structure a bond any way you want, but I think there's no other equipment on that particular street. So, if there is significant damage that occurs within that year, and you can tell damage from overweight or from excessive weight trucks, cuts, grooves in the high or in the road surface, we can then go back and fight about it with the bond, with the surety company. But I see your point that, it is a different use, but the end result is you've got heavy trucks driving up and down the road, making numerous trips. Obviously not as many as in the excavation application, but still there's a capacity for damage to the road. So I think Pete was right when he made this suggestion. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Pat, did you ever respond to when
Mr. Chairman, Steve McCary, may I speak?
Actually, Steve, hold on 1 second. I think Pat had started to respond to something John had said. I want to give him the opportunity.
No, I mean, John and I have, I guess, a difference of opinion on how much traffic is going to be generated by this place. And, how many times a day is a truck going to go in and out? So we have a difference of opinion, but, whatever the commission decides, that's what it decides.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Steve actually was next, Pete, so give him 1 quick second. Go ahead, Steve.
Mr. Chair, Steve McCary, it's physically impossible to bond them. If you're going to bond them, you need to bond all. And Earthworks, prior to them leaving, I counted his trucks for a week because I was asked to. He had 10 to 15 trucks a week coming out loaded with stone, excavators, trailers, and that road right now is in perfect shape. And the brew house up there has tractor trailer trucks coming in constantly. If you bond this, they're going to leave. If you bond them, we have to bond everybody. I've never heard of such an absurd thing. I don't think you should even consider or do it. We don't want to start scaring companies out of this town.
Okay.
You can
Thanks.
Just a point of.
Hold on 1 second, John. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay. I just want to go back. John, hold on 1 second. Steve, hold on 1 second. Steve, everybody stop for just 1 moment, please. I just want to go back to something you said, with that. I just want to make sure to clarify. One of the things with the commissions, I want to make sure we're open and we're going to have differences of opinion, but there's no absurdity in anybody's opinion. I think everybody brings valid things to the table. So I want to make sure that we're all working it from that perspective. But I appreciate the insight that you're bringing there.
I don't mean absurd. I just don't want to start scaring companies out of this town. I've counted these trucks. I've been on every road in this town, and I see what's going on. And this guy's going to probably have maybe 5 or 6 loads a week. When they rent these machines, they don't rent them for a day. They take them for a week or a weekend or 3 days. But like I said, the brew company up there, it's tractor trailer trucks, they weigh a lot more probably than those machines. And that road's in real good shape. And I don't mean it's absurd. I just don't want to start scaring companies out of this town for something that's never been done before.
Dave, just a point of order. I don't know if it's proper to have the CEO chiming in on a deliberation, but
absolutely, I can chime in.
If he wants.
All right, guys. Then we're gonna cut that off right there. Pete, you had a comment that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, it's not the amount of trucks that's going to go in and out of this rental place. It's how heavy they are. And I drove tractor trailers with this heavy equipment on it, and I know it's a lot heavier than a dump full of rocks. So you're gonna have marks, you're gonna have wedges. If you ever drove the highway and you got those center lines in the middle of the highway that pulled you around on 95, that's from heavy trucks. That's from constant use going one way. If you're gonna rent it, if he's gonna rent this equipment, you're gonna go in and out one way. Well, that's all I gotta say about that.
Thank you. Anybody else in the commission who hasn't had a chance yet to speak? I want to make sure that we're, running through with these deliberations. I want to give everybody a chance to have a comment.
Mr. Chairman, Brett Olbreeze.
Hey, Brett.
Hey, I'm not sure what my opinion is, but I just don't know how you can distinguish between one versus the other. I mean, roads get traveled on by lots of different vehicles, lots of different types of vehicles, the amount of times that a vehicle travels on roads, et cetera. And I don't know if you can necessarily dictate, not only words wrong, indicate which type of traffic caused which type.
Well, if I could just respond, Dave, and this is something I'd like to see Mr. McCary's evidence with regard to all these trucks that are going out of the brewery there. I don't think they're doing that. It's not like Anheuser-Busch where they're selling that much beer a year. So that's something that the bondsmen, that the town and the surety and the person that's responsible for putting up the bond would negotiate, and then they would go back and look. And if the rental company, trucking business had questions or wanted to blame someone else, they can always implead and they can always use that as a defense in the action on the bond. But these type of analysis happen all the time. It's going to happen. I don't know if Mr. Olbreeze was here for the last one where we had the same type of situation where they're putting a road bond on the excavation. That's an even longer route where there's much more truck traffic as opposed to this one area where it's just one road that comes off and there's only a few businesses, one of which has heavy construction equipment coming up and down and back and down. So I think this is a much easier situation to identify where the damage comes from. And I'll just back up what Pete had said. A typical tractor trailer truck doesn't need a heavy load permit. However, if you're going to drive a tractor trailer carrying an excavator, that's usually something that has to be registered. It's a much higher weight than just your average tractor trailer. So it's very easy to make those type of determinations. And I'd hate to see the town have to pick up the tab for this if there is damage down the line. We can limit the amount of time on the bond just to give it some time to see. Hopefully there isn't any damage and we can release it. So.
All right. Does anybody else have anything addition that they want to add to this that we haven't already covered? I think that we've covered a couple of these things pretty thoroughly.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to have one more thing to say.
Go ahead, Brett.
Okay, thank you. I'm not disagreeing with anything that any of the fellow commissioners have said. My only point being that unless two roads are in perfect condition from start to finish, you don't know the condition of the road pre the trucks starting to travel on it. So you don't know the quality of the road work. So one set of, traffic and another set of traffic aren't necessarily always equal.
Brett, what happens is they go out and when they put the bond on, they do an examination of the roads. So that's one of the things. The engineers go out and they do an assessment. And then from time to time, they review it to see what type of damage, declivities in the crown of the road. They get the angle, the depth of any trenching caused by excessive weight. So there's processes, the same type of processes that are going to happen in the road bond we just talked about in the prior application. So.
Okay, thank you.
Not hearing any other. I'm sorry, did somebody say something? They have something want to add? Okay. I think we have two decisions in front of us. And the first one I want to ask, was the initial comment. I'd like to get the commission's input solely on the question, do we need to go back to have this in writing, or the way Kevin Condon explained it to me, that I explained to you, is that going to be sufficient? So I wanted to get your input here in terms of if we need to go back to get to get this in writing.
Pizza Brass, I'd like to see it in writing.
I agree with Pete.
I join in that request as well.
Josh Dykstra, I would agree with that as well.
I'd agree.
Okay. All right. Seeing that already puts us at a majority, then what we'll do is I will go back to Kevin and ask to have that compilation of what I explained. We'll get that in writing, and then we can use that to move forward then with and finish up the deliberations. Hopefully, at the June 16 meeting. I'll make sure that we need to have it for then.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess we're going to need a motion now to table this to June 16th.
Motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Moving forward to old business, other matters, we have none. New business, schedule a public hearing, none. New business, none. So now we're going to get to zoning enforcement with Steve, and Steve has a few items on here that he wants to kind of go through and explain to us. So Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you to start with your list.
So 317 Ridge Street, I have not heard back from Matt. I did get a list from the assessor's office, and he has a ton of vehicles registered and paying taxes on. It's hard to keep track because there's so many coming and going. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. We're listening.
Oh, okay. So you want me to continue with him, or, I'll talk to him or send him another letter? It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, I think we need to keep pushing.
He has his business registered at 316. The vehicles are kept on either 317 or 318, but he owns both lots. So if he was to combine the two lots and register the business there, he could probably do it under a special exception. And I did get an email from him maybe 3 weeks ago, which I did forward to you guys. You should have it. And he's stating, he's trying to get rid of everything. So the company, I guess, is folding up. He's selling it off. I see a lot of trucks going on flatbed.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm not mistaken, when we checked his original approval for that business, he was only allowed less than 10 vehicles on the original lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 315, right?
Or 316, or whatever the number was. That's the lot where the buildings are.
Yeah.
Right. So in my mind, I'm not sure I want to start talking about special exceptions or joining or anything like that. I mean, he is a cease and desist, and I'm not quite sure I understand if there's coming and going. Does that mean he's still bringing things in, Steve?
He's you go there one day and he's got, say, 20. You go there one day, he has 10. Then you go back another day, he's got 30. So I'll send him another letter, a second letter, to get off all the vehicles off that lot. And he has to go down to 4 vehicles, and then I'll hand it to you guys. After that, we can hand it to Attorney Condon or Attorney Olson. Because I don't anticipate him to move them.
Right, because in my mind, if he's winding things down, I'm not understanding why the counts then would be going up. It doesn't seem to be going in the wrong direction. So yeah,
I don't know. I know the company is in South Carolina, so I see plates South Carolina on there, New York. So I know he brings them up, then he sells them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe how do you guys feel about calling them in when we have a meeting at town hall and talking to them? I can get him on the agenda so we can talk to him and see what his thoughts are.
I'm not sure the meeting is the right forum for that type of case where we're trying to get through. I think it's pretty clear cut that there's a violation that needs to be addressed. So I'm not sure where the right
but
appealing his case.
Oh no, yeah, I get it, but how I can get on the agenda is pull his old Z permit, his old zoning permit, put it on the agenda saying you're supposed to have 4 cars. So now we can legally talk about it because, you know, he exceeded his site plan.
Dave, I think your
It's
point
just
is
a
well
thought.
taken. That would be an adjudicative forum, which we sit as a legislative body. You know, I don't really see the point of having them come in and that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay, so
Steve,
you
I
want
would
me to,
Send a letter and go to Kevin.
you want me to send, well, let me send him another cease and desist, and then after that one, I'll send him another. That'll be 3, then it'll go to Kevin, then I'll set a fine and I'll give it to Attorney Condon. I have
Any
to
comment?
give him at least 2. I've only given him 1.
Okay, let's go that approach. Any other comments from the commission in terms of, taking that approach? All right,
That'd be
cool.
fine.
Steve, you have your marching orders.
Okay, and 27 Solano. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, 27 Solano Drive. He had 17 vehicles. He's down to 10 now. He has 7 registered at his house. And I did ask him for proof of registration the last meeting, and I asked him again today. He's going to get it to me. He has 3 other vehicles where he states he dropped off at motor vehicle, but he can't get there. I guess motor vehicle's closed and he can't get in there. He originally had 16. He's down to 11, and 7 are now registered in Oxford. And he's telling me he's going to bring these registered trucks up to his new business in Waterbury. I already gave Kevin Condon a fine. This has been going on for 4 to 5 months, not longer.
Mr. Chairman, isn't this the same update that we had at the last meeting?
Probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, my comment would be very specifically that, it's the same update, but there's still no proof that even the 7 that are registered. And I think the burden is on him to be able to come back and say that he's followed the orders that were given. So I think, what do we do? Continue the fine, continue, he needs to be able to town hall, you can still get information out of it. It's not like it's shut to the public, where,
No, I can get
you can call and get things. So it's not like it's even impossible to get, proof of the 7 cars being registered in my mind, unless somebody can disagree or say that that's not the case. So I'd like to keep leaning on this, to keep moving this and put the pressure on him to get that.
Mr. Chairman, Pat Cotrella here. I mean, in all honesty, we can have the tax assessor's office email us over copies of those registrations. We don't need him to do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
Right, but Pat, remember, he just, according to him, he just had some registered prior to the COVID thing. And I don't think it goes on the grand list till October. I think, I'm not sure on that. But I will check with them tomorrow.
They still have the information that it was filed. It may not go on the grand list, but they would still have the information that it was filed for that purpose.
I'm not following you because
That's
goes
correct.
to DMV, right?
He should have provided
Okay,
us
so
with this proof weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, months ago.
Steve, if there's a way that we can get this from the tax assessor's office, can you reach out to them this week and have that collect that information and get the results back over to Jess so she can get posted for inclusion? We can talk about this at our next meeting to see what that status is, to see if they're actually registered or not.
Yes.
And if it's not, then we're gonna have to think about alternative steps, I guess.
I'll just, like I said, I handed Kevin the fine. You could, we could talk to Kevin, have him go through with it.
I think that's what's supposed to have been done today, as Brett was pointing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been down this road, and this person stands in a special position because he was an alternate. He kind of has an obligation to comply, and he's been informed by the past chairman. So we seem to be just spinning our wheels in the enforcement area here.
Well, you asked me to give him a fine. I did that probably a month and a half ago, and Attorney Condon has it. What he did with it, I don't know. So as far as I'm concerned, I've done what I was asked to do. I can squeeze him a little more, but I can't give him another fine. I've already done the 4 steps, and I've given it to Kevin. So maybe you want to give him a call or talk to him. You know,
I can give him a call and talk to him, and I tell him that we need this letter, this additional letter for the last thing we talked about.
You know, I like I said, I gave him I think a $9,000 fine. I was asked by ex-Chairman Luff, to do that, so I did it, and he's had it for, I don't know, a couple weeks or so. So after I give Kevin the fine, you know, I don't really know what I can do for the next step. I suppose I can send him another letter.
Steve, why don't we do this? Talk to the assessor's office and see if we can find out about, you know, the tax records for those additional vehicles. So if we can get that, work on that for the next meeting. In the meantime, I'm going to bring up, when I talk to Kevin about our last item that we talked about, I'll also ask him about, you know, the status here with the fine and see what the thought process is with that. And then we can kind of address this for the next one. Because if a fine's already in place, I want to make sure that it's
Let me just ask. Yep, let me just ask a question for Vice Chairman Kerwin. So if we sent him a notice, he had 16 unregistered vehicles. Now he's got 7 that are registered. So during that notice time, he was supposed to register 7 vehicles, all of them, but he did 7. So do I subtract, you know, those 7, you know, from the 11 now for the fine? Because when I give him a letter, he's supposed to make good on it, and he did on 7 of the 10 vehicles that he has.
If
So
you
if he
already fined
registers,
if fine is imposed, then he's responsible for it. With respect to your question to me, I think that should be addressed to the town council or the commission as a unit, but you can't address it to just one person to give an opinion. It would have to be the commission. But I think Kevin Condon can answer that as well.
Got it.
I would defer to that too. Steve, you want to move on to Bowers Hill Road?
I'm sorry?
You want to move on to Bowers Hill Road?
Yeah, sure. So 2 Bowers Hill Road, I've been in contact. He got rid of 2 Ackermans, a bulldozer, a lock splitter, and a cement mixer, but he still has a contractor's yard there. He was a contractor in another town, moved to this town with all his stuff. So I thought it looked okay. I mean, I can get you some photos. I think you asked me for those too. I got them on my. Actually, they're.
Yeah, I think we need the photos to kind of assess where we are with it, and then make it decide if, you know, if there's any additional steps that are needed.
47 East Street. That's property. He's cleaned all that up. It looks good. I've had no more complaints about it. He's got some wetlands issues out there that the wetlands officer is working with him on. That he put some stumps, and he had an application for a limit of clearing, and he went about 200 feet past that limit of clearing into the wetlands. So, but as for zoning, I don't have any more issues out there. 95 Good Hill Road.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say we could take East Street then off if it's been, you know, sufficiently, if it's all taken care of.
Yeah, he's cooperative, so that's a plus.
All right.
95 Good Hill Road. He has a heavy commercial business in a residential zone, and you guys should have pictures on, you know, on the drive that shows it. But he's got CLMP trucks, Lewis trucks, Southbury, Connecticut Tree, just dumping huge trees on his property, and he's running an operation. I don't know. Can you see the pictures?
No,
No.
no, I can't.
Jess, did I get you those pictures?
I didn't put any pictures up on the drive.
Okay. So anyway, I know Commissioner Sauter drove by there and saw what I was talking about. So I'll send some pictures out tomorrow. I forgot the guy's name. What's his name, Jess? I don't recall. In any event, it's a commercial business in a residential zone. I'll get you some pictures tomorrow. He could have him do either get rid of it, all of it, or finish processing it and get it off the property.
Did you do a cease and desist on him?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
Steve, what actions did you take already?
Yeah.
I'm
he
sorry?
should be-
I
mean,
gave him
he
a
should
cease
shut
and
down.
desist.
Okay.
I did. I gave him a cease and desist to come in, and he's got 30 days to make good on the cease and desist. And I got pictures on my phone. I can't believe I didn't send them out. So when I called him today and I said, listen, you got a lot of stuff right, real close to the road. Big logs. I said, get rid of that. 10 feet high. I said, take those logs and the chunks of wood and throw them behind your lot. There's no line of sight. So I told him to do that. After that, he's going to stop. It was actually on town property.
That's town property? Or on the road?
No, I'm sorry. He was in the town right away, the easement, like maybe a foot off
okay.
the road.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. So,
All right, so Steve, you said you already put in a cease and desist.
yeah.
And the next course of action is you want to get pictures put up on the drive so everybody can assess them. I know not everybody has seen them. And give everybody a chance to drive by and see what it looks like. And then I think we have to decide on a course of action. You were saying in either to get rid of it now, or do you allow him the opportunity to finish processing and get it and get rid of it? So I think that would be the.
Dave, I don't think we can't allow him to operate in violation of the regulations.
I agree. I was going by the options that were presented. I was just kind of rephrasing exactly what Steve had said to put it out there. No, I'm not arguing with you about that.
Yeah.
He's got probably 500 to 600, maybe 700 trees on that lot. You've got to see it. So he's either got to process it and get it off it, or just get rid of all of it altogether. Have it hauled back off the property and dump someplace else.
I think the second alternative, we can't allow him to finish his operation. I mean, it's got to be, I know where this is, probably 600-700 yards deep. Just
you saw
piles of logs, and he's got saws in there. He's processing timber. He's actually, long cutting it, water sawing. He's splitting it. He's doing all sorts of stuff. I think the only alternative under the regs is he's got to stop and clear all that stuff out of there. He brought it in. That's not allowed in a residential zone.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, I can call him tomorrow and, tell him what you guys want to do.
Steve, let me stop you right there. For the rest of the commission, because I know John is waiting and I'm kind of leaning along him. Does anybody else have any input on this, or is it basically marching order, cease and desist, stop it and get rid of it, and that's the end of the story?
I got to agree with John. I got to agree with Commissioner Kerwin that he can't continue to do work on his property, a complete violation. Because if we give him a shot at getting rid of the trees, it'll take him 6 months to get rid of the trees, and then we're going to hear the same story we're hearing with the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem was
and that's my input.
Steve, hold on. Let us kind of deliberate. Steve, let us kind of deliberate this now. We got Steve. Let us kind of deliberate this because I think we have the information we need. I just want to hear from the rest of the commission.
I'd agree. This is Brett with the cease and desist.
Okay. All right. So that being, go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry.
I agree with the cease and desist. And I think that he has to mitigate what's been done, and he has to move that material out of there. I see no reason something that size got to everybody in the first place. How long has this been going on?
What was that?
Oh, no.
How long has it been going on? I don't know. Now he's got to sign up here now that he's selling the stuff. So he's a resident. The individual is a resident of Woodbury.
Not true. I don't know if I can speak to this.
No.
I'm sorry, sir. No, you cannot. I appreciate you bringing it up. I'm sorry you wouldn't be able to at this point in the meeting. So for the rest of the commission, I mean, we've kind of heard what we had to hear from this. I think unless Dan or Josh have something additional that they wanted to add.
No, I don't.
You know what, though?
Chairman, I agree with what's been said. My only question was, when did you give him the cease and desist, Steve? That was my only question.
Probably one day last week, but he does have a business registered at that house. I think it's for lawn cutting or something like that. Yeah, I don't have one for the wood cutting.
May I speak on the owner of that property?
I'm sorry, but this is, we're actually deliberating a zoning enforcement issue. It's not the time that we would be taking in public comments. I apologize.
Will there be an opportunity later in their meeting?
Unfortunately, no, this is not going to be the right forum for that. We're actually dealing with, it's a zoning enforcement matter that was brought to us. It's not something we would try and adjudicate here. With the property owners, it's something that would be handled and facilitated through the zoning enforcement officer. So I'm sorry, we wouldn't be able to entertain comments.
I'm sorry, I was told by the zoning enforcement officer that I could speak. Sorry.
I apologize if that was the messaging.
Because some of the information is incorrect that you're getting.
I'm sorry. We really can't entertain any comments. I'm not trying to be rude. I really appreciate that you listened to this as long as you have, but this is something where we need to deliberate here internally. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Pat.
If I'm not mistaken, written comment can be sent to the commission on any of these matters.
Exactly. And that was something I think Steve I talked to the zoning enforcement officer about, that he could get their input to be able to bring to the commission. In the meantime, looking at the concurrence of opinions that have come up, I mean, I think it's unanimous, unless somebody speaks up differently, that we do want this to have the cease and desist right now, and follow that. And if there's additional comments that Steve wants to collect, then he can definitely collect that and present that to us with the next meeting. But there should not be any work that's going on here, and the process we should be starting to clear that out, clear that matter from the property. Steve, did you have anything else regarding that?
No, I just want to say that applicant is very cooperative. That's all. So whatever you guys.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that. We're trying to work with them, which is why we're having the conversation now, and we're willing to take in written comments. It's just there's a forum here in terms of we want to be able to follow in terms of it can kind of go crazy really, really quickly. So we're just going to keep strictly to what it is and how it's outlined and how we want to proceed. So I appreciate that they're working closely with this, and I'm looking forward to working with them on this and getting to and getting it resolved as quickly and as easily as possible.
Mr. Chair, could I speak to Steve before he leaves? I have a question for him.
You have a question for Steve regarding this? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, this is a completely different matter. The woman that owns Oxford Propane, has she come in and put an application for the cottage business yet?
Where?
To renew it? I'm sorry?
No, she called me. She can operate her business out of her house. It's a 10 by 10 area, but she can't park any propane trucks. Are you talking about the place she's looking to buy on 67?
No, I was talking about the woman that was in front of us, and we denied her application for parking a propane truck on her property, and she was told she can continue to work out of her house, but she had to come in for a new permit.
No, that's not true.
Oxford Propane, I believe it was.
Oxford Propane, yeah, she could. Well, we told her she can't park her truck there, but she could operate her business out of the office. It's a computer.
Does she have
all she has there is
permit?
Okay. We're not going to get this deliberated here, I think. I think we need to go back and pull out those materials and see if there was a requirement for a cottage. Is that okay, Pete, if we try and
yes, sir.
Off and discuss that more offline? I don't think we're going to get anywhere with it. In this. It's tougher. There's no records to pull and double check, so we're just kind of going back and forth. But I see.
I just wanted to double check with Steve to see if she came in to renew that permit she put in for her first time that we denied.
Yep. Let's do some.
Didn't we
Steve,
deny
but-
the propane truck where she can do the business?
No,
She
No,
wanted to come
just-
back in for just,
no, I was involved in that. Just for some clarity, we didn't, it was denied. She was supposed to reapply.
Mhm.
Moving on.
Okay. We'll look in terms of pulling some of that stuff so we can better address that next time. Anything else for Steve on any other topics besides what we covered?
No.
Great. Thank you, Pete, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Municipal planner, Keith.
Yes, how are you today? Hi,
Very
David.
good. How are you doing?
Good. How are the restaurants coming in? Have you had any good success that way? Not really.
Personally, I've seen them open, and they look great. I haven't had a chance to eat out anywhere yet, but I haven't heard of any issues. Has anybody come across any problems or anything that have come up with the openings?
No, none at all.
No?
Good.
nope.
That's good to hear.
That's a good thing.
Good. Well, concerning our PCOD, I'm sure within the next few weeks that Pat and I are going to be getting together and putting together a program that we can go over and do some reviewing, maybe have a workshop scheduled by the summer, and actually start a real comprehensive review and approval process for those updates of the plan of conservation and development. So I think it's kind of a slow process due to COVID, but once we hit the ground, we're going to have a lot of information that the commissioners are going to be asked to look at in pieces, in a controlled manner. But we're gonna have something for you in the near future. Is that right, Pat?
Yes, it is, Keith. I've been doing a lot of reading.
Yeah.
And, marking up the copies and stuff, and I'll get it all to you at some point.
What
And,
I would, yep. Go for it.
No, go ahead.
Oh, what I was thinking is maybe we want to meet at one of the picnic tables at Town Hall.
That could work.
Yeah. I'll bring us a couple sandwiches and a couple coffees.
Okay. Yeah, just drop me a call or something and we'll set up a schedule.
I think so. I'll do that tomorrow or the next.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
I
Yeah, so
appreciate
Dave-
all the work you guys are doing in that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that come across, and being able to have the commission take a closer read through and start working on it. That's gonna be good.
You bet. You bet. Me too.
You have anything else for us, Keith?
Nope. Everything is hunky dory, as they say.
Hunky dory's not a bad thing. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. You guys take care.
Moving on would be the minutes. Jess, I'm not sure because they weren't in the packet. I'm not sure if you got through the 3-hour plus meeting and putting the minutes together. So
Yeah. No, those aren't ready yet.
okay, we'll look at those next week in 2 weeks. Invoices, none. Other business, looking at that bond release request again, Jess, I'm keeping you on the spot. Have we heard anything back from Town Council and Jim Galligan regarding this? Did we lose Jess?
No,
I
she's
can't
there.
hear you guys.
Can you hear us now?
Did you guys? I didn't hear you guys if you tabled the minutes or not. You cut out on me.
Can you?
Yeah, he tabled the minutes the next week.
Table the minutes
All
for the
right.
next meeting.
Was there a motion or you guys just?
Oh, I'm sorry. If we needed a motion, that's my
I will
mistake.
table the minutes until the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. That was my bad. I apologize about that.
No, that's okay. I just couldn't hear anything.
Nope, that's good. Sorry about that. Invoices, none. And just now, other business, again, keeping you on the spot, we have the bond release request for Pilots Mall, Technology Park, Airport Access Road, and Donovan Road, and we were waiting from Town Council and Jim Galligan. Did we get anything back yet?
Actually, I got something from Jim later this afternoon, but I didn't have an opportunity to put it on in the packet. So we're going to have to address it at the next meeting, but I did get something from him.
Wonderful. Put that on there. The sign letter, I know you were compiling a list of the organizations, departments, and committees, and I don't think that made the packet either.
No, it wouldn't work. I couldn't, it wasn't converting properly, but did I email it to you guys or no?
I have not seen it, but I'm not sure about everybody else.
All right.
I haven't seen it either, Jess.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
No.
All right, maybe you can if you can email that if the internet's back up at town hall tomorrow, and we can take a look at that and hopefully knock it out on the 16th.
I just emailed it to you.
All right, so we have it then. Good.
I just emailed. Can't hear you guys.
You lost your picture.
I think it's our internet.
Yeah, it might be. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
We can hear you. There you are.
Okay. I can't hear you guys. It's been bad connection this meeting, but I did just email it to everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right,
So-
great. We can talk about that then on the 16th. All right. All right. Is there any other business the commission deems necessary for discussion? All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
Second.
John motion, Pete second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting, motion passes. Meeting is being adjourned at 9:13 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your patience tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for everything.
Actually,
Good night.
we're pretty good with this. We're getting better.
We're getting better. Exactly.
We're getting better. By the time we're perfect, we'll be back to real meetings.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Good night,
Good night.
guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Jeff.
Good night, Pete.
Good night. Good night, Pat. Good night,
Good
Jeff.
night, Jeff.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, likewise.
Pat, you need a haircut, brother.
Oh, haircut, beard trim.
Jesus, yeah, we all do. We
I was
all need
hoping
a
Jesse was going to be here tonight. What an appointment.
Well, anyways, guys, you had a long meeting, but it was great to see you all.
Good night, Jeff.
Good night.
Hello.